People love to call Gen Z lazy. They say this generation doesn't want to work, doesn't want to commit, doesn't care about tradition or responsibility. But what if that assumption isn't just wrong? What if it's cruelly simplistic? What if Gen Z isn't lazy at all, but burnt out before life even began? Think about it. This is the first generation to grow up completely online. They were born into chaos, global pandemics, economic collapse, political division, social media wars, and the constant noise of a world that never turns off. Every day since childhood, they've been absorbing 1,000 voices, telling them who to be, what to think, how to look, and how to win a game that keeps changing. It's not laziness, it's exhaustion. Exhaustion from expectations that never stop. Psychologically, burnout doesn't start with apathy. It starts with overstimulation. Gen Z lives in a world where their minds are constantly activated, but rarely fulfilled. They scroll endlessly, consume relentlessly, and compare subconsciously. They see success everywhere, failure nowhere, and feel trapped in the gap between. And when you feel like you can never catch up, the natural response isn't motivation, it's collapse. You can't label a generation unmotivated when they've been running a marathon since they were 12. Mentally, emotionally, digitally. The constant exposure to crises, climate change, violence, injustice, instability has created what psychologists now call collective trauma fatigue. It's not that Gen Z doesn't care. It's that they care so much, for so long, that caring now hurts. Older generations had time to dream before reality hit. Gen Z didn't. Reality hit before they could dream. Every system that was supposed to guide them, education, work, government, media, has shown cracks. They were told, go to college and you'll succeed, only to graduate into debt and instability. They were told, work hard and you'll get ahead, only to see people twice their age struggling to survive. They watched their parents burn themselves out for stability that no longer exists, and now they're called lazy for refusing to repeat it. That's not laziness, that's awareness. Psychologically, Gen Z operates on what experts call disillusioned survival mode. It's when you stop believing in the reward system society promised, because you've watched it fail too many times. The brain learns to conserve energy instead of wasting it on a rigged game. So when Gen Z appears unmotivated, they're not refusing effort, they're rejecting futility. They've seen too much hypocrisy to blindly obey. They've watched truth bend for profit. They've watched burnout glorified as hustle. And they've realized that in a world this unstable, peace is more valuable than productivity. That's not laziness, that's evolution. But here's where it gets darker. The digital age has created a paradox: infinite connection, zero intimacy. Gen Z is more plugged in than any generation before, yet lonelier than ever recorded. Every moment online is a performance. Likes, shares, validation. The brain starts associating self-worth with metrics. And when you live your entire life on display, the line between authenticity and acceptance disappears. This is why so many Gen Z individuals struggle with motivation, because they've been performing for approval since childhood. The dopamine hits from social media mimic the same neurological response as reward, but it fades instantly, leaving a cycle of craving more attention to feel enough. Eventually, real effort feels meaningless because it's slower, quieter, less visible. Why chase long-term goals when short-term validation gives quicker relief? That's the tragedy. The system rewired their brains before they ever had a chance to understand themselves. They didn't become unmotivated, they became overstimulated into numbness. When you've lived your entire life in survival mode, ambition starts to feel like a luxury. That's the quiet truth about Gen Z. They don't lack dreams, they lack safety. You can't climb when you're still trying to find solid ground. And that's what burnout really is. The body saying, "I've been in fight or flight too long." Every notification, every headline, every post, telling them they're not enough, it accumulates. It's digital anxiety disguised as entertainment. Constant noise makes silence unbearable. Constant connection makes solitude feel like failure. They're overstimulated and undernourished, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so they disconnect, not because they don't care, but because caring has become too expensive. The average Gen Z adult has been through more identity shifts by 20 than most people experienced in a lifetime. They've watched reality blur, gender, politics, truth, community, all questioned, all fractured. They've been told to just be yourself in a world that sells identity like a brand. And so they experiment, shapeshift, reinvent, not to rebel, but to survive in a world where being static means being invisible. It's easy for older generations to mistake that fluidity for confusion, but psychologically, it's adaptation. When the environment is unstable, the mind becomes flexible, even if it hurts. Gen Z's fluid identities, career paths, and values are not chaos. They are resilience wearing exhaustion as armor. Still, that armor comes at a cost. Many of them walk through life emotionally flatlined, too tired to hope, too aware to believe. It's not depression in the clinical sense, though many do battle it. It's existential fatigue, the ache of knowing too much and feeling powerless to change it. The irony is that this generation has access to more information, more opportunity, more freedom than any before, yet they feel emptier. Because information without meaning is overload, and freedom without grounding becomes isolation. When everything is possible, nothing feels real. So they scroll, they joke, they detach. It's not indifference, it's self-preservation. Humor becomes therapy. Irony becomes language. Detachment becomes identity. The memes, the sarcasm, the cynicism. They're coping mechanisms for a world that feels both too much and not enough. But deep beneath that humor, there's grief. Grief for a childhood lost to screens. Grief for a future that feels uncertain. Grief for human connection that now comes through filters and feeds. Gen Z isn't lazy. They're mourning something they can't name. And here's where psychology gets brutal. When the mind loses trust in stability, it stops investing in effort. Why plant roots in shifting soil? Why dream of a future when the present feels like quicksand? So they drift between passions, between jobs, between identities. They appear aimless, but they're searching for something worth anchoring to. That's why traditional motivation doesn't work on them. You can't shame someone into caring when they already care too much. You can't guilt someone into working harder when they're already carrying invisible weights you don't see. Gen Z doesn't respond to try harder, they respond to heal first. The solution isn't more productivity advice, it's rest. Real rest. The kind that reconnects them to themselves. Not another distraction, not another hustle, not another dopamine fix. The kind that helps them remember who they are beneath the noise. Because when they rest, they begin to feel again. And feeling is what drives purpose. This is the paradox that society refuses to face. Gen Z doesn't lack work ethic. They lack belief that effort still matters. The system broke their trust. And when trust breaks, ambition dies quietly. But the beautiful thing about this generation is that they still care. They care about meaning, authenticity, impact. They crave depth in a world built on surface. They reject fake success because they've seen where it leads: burnout, emptiness, disconnection. That rejection isn't rebellion, it's wisdom. Gen Z is not lazy. They are the byproduct of overstimulation and They are the result of watching older generations sacrifice happiness for survival and deciding, I want more than that. They're not broken, they're evolving. Maybe their lack of motivation isn't failure. Maybe it's a quiet revolution, a refusal to keep living by rules that no longer make sense. They're not abandoning ambition, they're redefining it. Not in money or status, but in peace, autonomy, and meaning. So the next time someone calls Gen Z lazy, remember this. Burnout doesn't always look like collapse. Sometimes it looks like calm. Sometimes it looks like not caring, because caring hurts too much. This generation isn't sleeping through life. They're waking up in a nightmare they didn't create, trying to find a way to dream again. And when they finally heal, when they reclaim their focus, when they rebuild their trust in themselves, the world will see it wasn't laziness all along. It was survival. Because Gen Z isn't lost. They're simply the first to realize that maybe the world they inherited is